Welcome to Creating Online Exams. This is our summer training series. My name is Carla McKenzie, and I'm the instructional technologist for Morton College. There are a few housekeeping items that I'm sure that everyone has mastered by now, but you're welcome to turn off your notifications in order to minimize disruptions. If you need to provide digital feedback, the avatar is available in the lower middle of the screen. And then, of course, there are some magnification controls in the upper left corner that will allow you to zoom in or out. Our session today should run 1.25 hours with 15 minutes of question answer. Our style today will be to present content, then demonstrate. Any questions you have may be typed in the chat session. This session does assume prior knowledge of Blackboard, and you're welcome to follow up with me via email at carla.mckenzie@morton.edu. There are training guides and handouts coming your way soon. Our agenda today will be to create an online exam, set the test options for an exam, apply special accommodations for an exam, convert a Word doc into an online exam, upload test questions from a test generator, copy an exam between courses, and then review the item analysis for analyzing test questions. But there's a 3-step procedure to creating an online exam and actually getting it in your course. So first, you would create the test, and you might do that in Blackboard directly, or you might import some questions, say from Word or maybe a publisher site. After you create the test, then you need to set the test options. And that's all about providing some instructions, maybe setting some dates of availability, possibly setting a timer for the exam, maybe randomizing questions and adding some special restrictions. The next step is kind of an optional step. There's a couple of different ways to do this. So once you create the test and set the test options, you need to locate a content area where your students will actually take that test, or you can just have that test out there and ready and not deploy it to a specific content area yet. So you can prepare a test and not actually deploy it and have it kind of sit out there to deploy in the future. There's various uses for creating an online exam, of course. You can use it as a practice test for students, maybe have some preparation skills that you want them to get abreast in. It does allow you as the instructor to evaluate how the class is doing as a whole. Students really like receiving some instant feedback when they do take an exam. It does allow you to mix and match the various question types, and we'll go over that today as well. And you can create randomized versions of the exam. And then also it'll allow you to identify some problem areas for the whole class or even just for individual classes. So when you create an exam, there's 3 ways to do that. One of those ways is to create the exam directly in Blackboard. Another way would be to able to create it in Word and then import it into Blackboard. And yet another way is to import a publisher pool that's out there set by your publisher of your textbook. So there's 3 different ways to kind of get some exam content into Blackboard. To type directly into Blackboard sometimes it's a little bit more time consuming. So I definitely would opt for one of these other 2 options just to save yourself some time. So when you type directly into Blackboard, there's a few steps. The first step would be to locate the actual content area. So once again, that's all about just finding where the exam will reside. So maybe you click a link on the course menu and it opens up week 1 and you're going to submit it right there in week 1. So once you locate your content area, of course, you'll see that build content button that we've seen in all of our previous courses. But for the exam, you're actually looking for the assessments link, which is right here. And then you'll select test. Once you do that, you'll click the create button. If you have an existing test, it will appear here. But since we don't have one, we're going to assume that we'll create one directly in Blackboard and from scratch. I want you to click that button right there, which says create. And then, of course, the submit button. After you click the submit button, then you're welcome to give your test a name. You might have a description of the test, sort of letting the students know there are 25 multiple choice questions and 2 short answer. So just kind of giving them a description. Here's where you would give them some instructions. Please do not use any notes. The exam is timed, so you'll have 20 minutes to complete. Be sure to save your answers after each time. So anything you want to tell them will go in this section. And then you click the submit button, of course. Now, once you do that, this is when you're in Blackboard and you're able to create a variety of different test types. So if you were going to import from a third-party publisher, you would make this selection. And if you were going to sort of upload some questions that were created in Word, so to speak, and I say that lightly because we have to convert them before. They don't just come directly from Word. They were created in Word, and then they went through sort of a test generator, and then they actually come in. So they cannot just go directly from Word into Blackboard. They're not in the right format. So this is going to assume that you are creating them directly in Blackboard. And I wanted you to see the variety of different types of questions that you could create. So for example, here's your standard true, false, and your standard multiple choice questions. So those I'm sure you're really familiar with. But if you wanted to spice up your exam just a little bit, there's other questions that you could add. Here's an ordering question. If you have some sort of chronological type course content that you wanted to use. Or you could have what's called a hotspot. So this is where an image is used and the student would have to click a spot on the actual image. Now, the spot needs to be probably the size of a dime, and then it would mark that answer correct if the student clicks anywhere in that area. So for this question, using the map, where is Mercer, Illinois? And I kind of have it like right over in this area. So anything outside of this little hotspot students may click on will be marked incorrect. This is another fancy type of question, just matching. I'm sure you've seen those before. And then this is called a jumbled sentence. This is sort of a hybrid between a multiple choice question and a fill in the blank. So here, the student would click a list and it would have 4 or 5 options inside the list. And they would fill in the first section of this particular paragraph, and then the second section, and then the third section. So I think for students, it's really nice to throw in some sort of variety, keeps them on their toes. They never know what they're going to expect in your class. So I really like these other additional question types. So once you've created the test, then you need to set the test options. And that's all about giving your test a name once again. And then you're going to say whether or not to make this test available now for students, or it can just sit there until you're ready to deploy it and make it available. You have the option as to whether or not you want to create an announcement. You don't have to do anything. Blackboard will do that for you, but they will put an announcement out there that the test is ready and available. If you want to set the exam for multiple attempts, you can certainly do that. If you don't want them to have multiple attempts, then you don't need to change this section at all. It is assumed in default by Blackboard that you'll have a single attempt. You do may want to force completion. That means if you give 60 minutes to take the exam, then you don't want students to start and then stop in 20 minutes and then close the exam and come right back to it. So you want to force them to complete it in one single sitting, which I always like to do. And then set the timer. Certainly you can set the timer for 20 minutes or 60 minutes. In an online environment, I usually do give them a timer, and I don't really give them a generous timer. So typically 1 minute for every question. So assumingly this exam has about 60 minutes. I really don't want to give them time to look up all of the answers in the entire test. So if I have a 25-minute if I have a 25-minute test, you can assume that it's about 25 questions. No probably 30 at the most, but I'm not like real generous on giving them time so that they would have too much time to look up the answers. And then if you want to have the exam auto submit as soon as this timer runs out, you certainly can do that. I usually don't do that, but you certainly can do that. And then you can set the availability for the test. For example, if you wanted to display only for a specific time period, just like any other date and time restrictions in Blackboard, you can do that as well. In addition, you can put a password on the test. So if you have a student that's taking the test after everyone else, you can put a password on the test and then tell the student what the password is. So even if another student clicks on that test, then it's okay because they don't have the password to be able to click it. Right. If you wanted to set some special options for a student, you could do that as well. So this is another way to allow a single person to take the exam, so to speak. So even though the test might be available for everyone else, or maybe it's not available for everyone else, this is how you can set it to be available just for one student. So for example, you click add user or group, and then you would click the specific user. In this case, it's John Guest. I only have one student in this class. And then maybe I might John 2 attempts at the exam. He has special needs. Or maybe I might want to give John 120 minutes, double the time that the rest of the class has. Or I want to allow the test to be available just for him for extended dates. So this is when you can extend the dates just for one student. And then, of course, we do want to force completion of that test in a single setting, even if it's for John. I do usually do that. There are more options. For example, a due date. You can give a due date right here. And then if the date is after the due date, you get to decide, go ahead and let them take the test. It'll just mark it late. So you will know if they've taken the test within the time that you specified, or if they've taken the test after the time that you specified. Definitely, you probably want to include this test in the Grade Center scores unless it's a practice exam. So that's a good example of you not wanting to include the test. If you give a bunch of practice exams to prepare them for the very extensive test, then you don't want to include all of those in the Grade Center calculations. I have never used this hide results from this test from the instructor. I've never used that one. So I'd have to think of a good reason why you'd want to hide all results from yourself and the Grade Center. Haven't quite done that yet. In addition, the results of the test are very important for students. So immediately after they submit, you can just do the basics and just give them a score. For example, 25 out of 30, and that's all they see. Or you can allow them to see all the answers. I usually don't do that because I know there's still students out there that need to take the test. So I don't show them all of the answers. I don't show them just the correct answers, and I don't show them the answers that they submitted. But those are all certainly options. Now, you may want to choose, say, after all attempts are graded or after a certain date. So that's what's in these the drop down here. So if I were to click this, in addition to showing them the 25 out of 30 that they received, you can also say after the due date for the exam, then show all the correct answers. And that would give them a way to look at their exam without asking you, where did I go wrong? How did I get just a 15 out of 30? They'll have an opportunity to look at the answer they submitted as well as the correct answer. So this is kind of nice only after a certain date. You can do a one-time view also, just for like 15 minutes, allow them to see the exam. And I think that's immediately after submission also. When it comes to presenting the test, I don't usually present all at one time. So I don't want them to see all 35 questions because they can take a picture of the exam and send it to their buddy. So I usually do show them one question at a time. It does take up a little longer, but hopefully it will prohibit them taking pictures of the exam and sending it elsewhere. Also, if I randomize the exam, then the exam is not in the same order as their buddy either. So all of that kind of helps. Now, Blackboard is a little behind, and I hope they get with the times on this one, where they will be able to set the number of questions that you can present at one time. So, for example, this one's very limited, all or just one. But I have seen other learning management tools where you can say 3 at a time or 2 at a time, etc. Prohibit backtracking, that's when you don't allow them to go back to a previously saved answer. They just have to live with whatever choices they made. And in some cases, for some students, that's actually very good, because I constantly hear students say, oh man, I had that, but I changed it. Well, why did you do that? Because you were unsure of the answer? So prohibit backtracking can have its benefits, but I usually don't use that one. I definitely do usually randomize the questions. So once you get all of these, and I know that was quite a bit, once you set all of the test options and click the submit button, then you'll see your actual exam appear right here in your content area, I should say. So now we're going to have a demonstration on creating an exam in Blackboard, setting the test options, and then also viewing a sample exam. So I'm going to share my screen with you at this time. And here we are in one of my courses. I'm just going to click quizzes. First, I'm going to show you a sample exam. So I'm going to go ahead and click sample quiz. So this test can be saved and resume later. That's what this is telling them. So this is when I was letting you know that forced completion, maybe not. No, it is not forced. Here, they can save the test and they can take it later. So the forced completion is not invoked on this one. So here's my test. This is my first time teaching. I'm going to say false to that one. Here's this is a multiple choice question, and the answer is expert system. Here's the ordering question that I mentioned, and I actually do not know the planets in order. I can just about guess, but I'm just gonna randomly just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I probably will get all of these wrong. Yeah, I do know Earth is not the 8th planet. I do know that. Here's that image question that I mentioned. So if I believe that Mercer, Illinois is right here, it gives them a little visual circle, and it maintains the coordinates. So if the student needed to change that, they can click the clear, and then those coordinates go away, and then they can click another answer. So this one, I think, they may need a little refresher on how to do if they've never seen this type of question. Some additional instructions may be useful here. So click where you believe Mercer, Illinois is. If you need to change your answer, click the clear button would be good for them to have. Notice that the answers are automatically saved. Here's a matching question. I'm sure all you scientists out there, because I'm probably not answering these correctly. Just wanted you to kind of see how it looks. And you can assign the points. I noticed this one is assigned 1 point. I assigned 2 points for this one. It automatically saves. And then here's that jumbled sentence that I told you about. So here, and I actually do not remember the preamble. So I'm sure all of you history buffs are having a fit out there, but I actually don't remember it. But this is, yeah, so this is what I meant by kind of a cross between a fill in the blank and a multiple choice, because they get some choices here. And then save and submit. It tells me the following question may be incomplete. So maybe there's another question down there. Is there a number 7? But this is what students will see. 2 minutes, and then they can click OK to review the results. And in this time, this one, I have it so they see the questions, not the answers. So this is another one where they can just take a picture of the answer, or I'm sorry, of the questions and send it to their buddies. So I did get this one right. I do know that answer. First time teaching, I got that wrong, huh? I got 2 correct, didn't know that, and I got 0 correct out of here. So here, the immediate feedback that they get is not just showing them their score, but they get to see the questions, as well as if they if they got the answer correct or not. So there's a variety of options you can give them here. I'm just going to go all the way down. Here's the one that I missed. How did I miss that? I'm not sure. I didn't answer it. All right. So that's a sample question. So let me go ahead and create a test here, and we'll call it Demo 4. So I'm going to go to Assessments and go to Tests. And I'm going to create a test, and I'm going to call this Demo 4, because this is the 4th time, maybe 3rd, Demo Test 4. And then I can give a description. This exam contains 20 multiple choice questions. I can tell them that. And 2 short answer. So anything I want to, I can tell them here. And then the instructions, which are a little different, or I can just use the description. But in the instructions, I might tell them something like, you will have 10 minutes to complete the exam. To complete the exam, please do not consult your notes. Remember, the timer is running. And if I had the exam auto submitting, I could tell them that the exam is going to auto submit there. So I click submit, and now right away I'm in my test question. So I want to pick a true false. And my true false is going to be the sun is shining right now, of course. And the true and the false is already there. The default is for the answer to be true. If it were false, I would change it. If I wanted to give them feedback if they got it correct, or feedback if they got the answer incorrect. Okay, how about I also create a, let's say a multiple choice. Oh, this was a multiple answer. Let's see if I practice this one. All right, so then the question, the text is, my favorite seasons are, and then partial credit, let's see. So they could answer summer and spring. Those are my potential. That's what I like. All right, and then the wrong answers would be winter and fall. Okay, so that would be an example of multiple answers, and then submit. And then I don't really need to create another one unless you have a request for me to create a specific one, but I could also give them a very quick ordering question. And we're going to put these in the right order. And what would they be? Let's think. So the right order of, I could do the planets, and we'll say the order of the seasons are, okay. And here we will say answer 1 would be winter, the next one would be spring, and the next one would be summer, and the next one would be fall. And then I click next. And then I need to position them. So right now, I actually typed them in the right order, so I don't need to reposition them at all. Winter from January, spring, summer, fall. So that's correct. I don't need to do anything else. And then submit. So this test has 3 questions, and I'm going to say okay. And then there's demo test 4. I'm going to submit it. But remember, I haven't yet created the options on the test. So I have to say, do I want to show the instructions to the student? Do I want to show them a description? Yes, I want to make it available. No, I don't want an announcement. No, I don't want multiple attempts. Yes, I want to force them to complete it. Yes, I want a timer. And I'm going to give them, it's 3 minutes long, so I'm actually going to give them 5 minutes. I don't want it to auto submit. I'm not going to set any dates. Here, I'm not going to give it a password. If I wanted to add some exceptions for John, I could do that. So add a user to give them anything except what all of the parameters currently are. So for John, I want John to have multiple attempts. For John, I want him to have 30 minutes. For John, I could change his availability, okay, and give him more time. And then John, I'm not going to force him to complete it in a single sitting because I know that he has special needs. I do want to start the date. The due date for this will be Sunday. And then should I allow students to start the test if the due date is passed? That's a toughie. So they did not take it, but the exam is still available. I didn't take it away. So can they start the test after the due date? I'm going to say no, don't allow them. If they didn't do it by the time, but I would actually not make it available. It would be gone. They wouldn't even be able to see it. Here's why I'd say don't include this or do include this in the Grade Center scores. Now for this one, after the submission, I want to see the score and I want to see the answer I submitted, and I also want to see the correct answer. I want to present one at a time since there's only 3 of them, and then we'll randomize them. Randomize the questions. The number of attempts is not valid. Multiple attempts, I'll do single if I made a mistake somewhere. All right, so there's my test right here. And in order to take it, I'm going to go to the student preview and I'm going to go into my quizzes. And here's my test. So here's my instructions. Once started, this test must be completed in 1 sitting. So I'm letting them know that ahead of time. And I'm going to go ahead and start. And it gives me this question first: winter, spring, summer, fall. So I should have jumbled these up, or did it randomize these for me? Winter, spring? No, it didn't. All right, so 2, 3, 4. So I should have put them in another order. And I have 5 minutes, and look at that timer. I have had students to call instructors and say, the timer is bothering me. Does it have to be there? So they're a little intimidated by seeing that timer go as fast as it does. Here's another one. The sun is shining right now where I am. A whole 10 points for that question. All of these were assumed at 10 points, so I need to be cognizant of that, and that's something I can change. My favorite seasons are, let me try to get this correct. I'll make sure that it's wrong. Summer and winter. I know those are the wrong answers, so I'm going to submit. And it says confirming. And so, yeah, so I only took 1 minute out of the 5 minutes that I gave them to complete it. And it logs when I started and the due date and how long it took me to submit. So I'm going to click OK. And this is going to show the students my correct answers, what they submitted. So my answer here must have been, yeah, so I didn't select the correct answer. All right. All right, so this is perfect. So this just kind of gives you an example, and then you click OK. So that shows you how to create an exam directly in Blackboard. So I'm going to come back and see if there's any questions. All right, any questions out there? So give me a sign that you're doing okay out there. I'm going to continue with the lecture. So some digital feedback. I'm going to go ahead and continue. All right, good. Okay, so Dana's doing good. Thank you, Dana. Let me continue to share. All right, so next we're going to create an exam in Word. Okay, so just completed our demonstration. We created an exam in Blackboard and we set those exhaustive test options. There are a lot of test options, so be cognizant of that. And we did view a sample exam. Next, we're going to create an exam in Word, and then we're going to upload it into Blackboard. But it must first go through what's known as a test generator. So I have some sample questions right here, and I'm assuming that they were typed in Word. So you're going to locate the test generator, type a name for the test, and then you're going to copy and paste the questions directly here. But there is a specific format that they need to be in. Each question must be typed on its own line. The stem of the question needs to automatically word wrap. So if you have a question that's very long, do not hit a enter to get a hard return. Every answer must be marked. I'm sorry, every question must be marked with the correct answer, and that's asterisk. Okay, every single answer that's correct has to be marked in the front with an asterisk. And then a blank line needs to separate your test questions, and all questions should be numbered. So as long as it's in that format in this test generator, then we're going to get some good results. Once we do that, we review, click the generate test questions, and if you get the green, then you need to look and figure out why you're still getting red. So it's red when the question is not in the correct format. Green means the question's in the correct format. And then you get another button which says download test questions. And then that's what we use to upload to Blackboard. When you upload questions in Blackboard, you're not going to type directly in Blackboard like we did. We're not going to use a test pool, but we're going to upload the questions in whatever format that test generator gives you. I just happen to know it's a TXT. And when you upload, you're just going to browse for the file that you want to upload. And then you're going to set the points per question. It automatically defaults to 10. So you can set this to be 1, or you can change what it defaults to be 2. So if you want to go into Blackboard and change the default for every test question to be worth 2 points, you could do that as well. And then you would submit and see your questions. If you wanted to copy an exam that you currently have, you could do that as well. You would go into test surveys and pools under the course tools. Then you would select tests. And then where you see all of your tests listed there, you would click the chevron and then export the test to the content collection. Once you export to your content collection, which is a place in Blackboard that holds all your content, then you would actually export from that area into the other content collection in your other course. So you're going to export from your current course, and then from the content collection area, you'll actually import it back in. So I'll show you how to do that. Here's where what it would look like when you go look at other courses. So some people, you probably have never even seen your content collection. So I will show you that as well. And so once you've done that, you're going to locate that particular file that was exported. It's going to be a zip file, and you're going to actually import it. And then here's your successful export. And then you'll see the successful import as well. So here, from the control panel, once you've exported it, you're actually going to click test and import. You're going to import from this area, browse content collection, and then click submit. And then here's where you would go to your test surveys and pools, and then your new exam will be there. So at first there was only 1 in here, and now there's 2 exams. So it's better when I show you using the demonstration, and you would still have to deploy the exam, which means you're going to find a content area, locate it, go ahead and click create your exam, which is assessments, and then test, of course. And then you're going to select your sample test, click the submit button, and don't forget to complete those exhaustive test options, and then you can view your exam. So at this time, we're going to do a demonstration of creating a quiz in Word, uploading it to Blackboard, copying, and deploying. So I'm going to share my screen with you right now. First, we're going to go to Word. Assume that we typed an exam. So we typed this exam, Control-C to copy. My test generator out here in a link in a bookmark. So I'm just going to go to my bookmark and I'm going to paste the exam directly in. I'm going to give it a name, and this one I'm going to call Demo Test 4. I might have one out there called that, Demo Test 10, just so that you know. I know there's not one with that name. I am expecting to generate some errors, and they're all red. What is wrong with this test? For one thing, the answers are not made available before the letter. So the asterisk cannot be behind the actual test answer. It must be before. So that's one thing that's wrong with this. So once I fix that, I'm going to generate again, and I'm expecting to see it wrong. I got one correct. So what's going on with this one that's not going on with this? I have an answer. I have it separated. There's no answer here. Nutrition is part of healthy life? Yes, it is. So that's what could be wrong. What's wrong with this one? I'm going to generate the test again. These two are correct. What's wrong with this one? Are you guessing out there? Because there's an answer here. So I couldn't imagine what's wrong with it. Oh, it doesn't say the number 3. So there's the number 3. And now let me see if that one's okay. Now that one's okay. What's wrong with this one? If this really is question 3 and question 4, there's a problem here. So I'm going to make this say 4 and see if that fixes it. It won't, because there's a hard return right here. So I'm just going to back this up and let it automatically word wrap. And now it should be okay. It has a number, it automatically word wraps, and I see the answer. So now generate. Now they're all correct. Once they're all correct, then I'm going to download the test questions. I get a TXT right here, Demo Test 10 TXT. I go back to Blackboard in my content area, and I'm going to say assessments test, and I'm going to create an exam, and this one's called Demo Test 10. Okay, I could give it a description, I could give it some instructions, but I won't. And here is where I upload that TXT. So I'm going to browse for it. I know it's in my downloads. Download Demo Test TXT. That's the one. And then the default is 10. I want to give a default of 2 questions, two points per answer, and click submit. There's my test. There it is. I'm so happy. Okay. If I wanted to change anything, I could do that here. There's some options that you can change, provide feedback, etc., etc. So I don't want to make any changes. 2 points. I could give you 3 points, etc. So this one's fine. I click OK. There's my Demo Test 10. I submit. And here's all those test options. So for this one, all I want to set is right after you submit, I just want to see the score. I don't even want any other information, just the score. Click submit. And there's my Demo Test 10. Oops, it's hidden. Let me make it available. Okay, now it's available. I'm going to drag it up here. Okay, I'm going to drag it up to the top. And now my student can take it. So I'm going to enter the student preview. And it's in quizzes right up here. I'm going to take it. Here's my question. Begin. I hope I get these correct. Nutrition is a healthy part of life. I know that one. If there's any nutrition teachers out there, help me out. Let's see which is true. I'm just going to go on. I hope I get something correct. I should have looked at the right answers. Okay. I probably will get a 1 out of 4. All right. And say okay. And then I didn't even take a whole minute. Click OK to view the results. And the results are, is this one? attempted score, 4 out of 8 points. So I got 2 correct. It is still showing the questions. I need to go back and take a look at that because I expected only to see the answer and not the questions. But let me just look at that again. Exit the preview, continue. But that's how you would do this. And then I'm going to go look at a PDF. Let me take a look at the answers. Did I say score per question? So this must mean show the question and the score for the question, but that's how you were to do it. Let me pull up my PDF, my Word doc, which is a PDF. I'm going to pull that up for you. And file, open. And I'm going to go to my demonstration folder. Sample quiz. Here's a PDF. Can I select my content? And I happen to know some keyboard shortcuts. So the keyboard shortcut to select all is Control A. So I'm going to go Control A, Control C, and then I'm going to go back to my tool. Let me go back. And here's my test generator. I want to clear, and then Control V to paste. So it does paste right in from the PDF, but I would have this, and that means I need a blank line here, and I need a blank line here. I need a blank line here. I need a number here. I need this number to be a 4. So it does work directly from a PDF. So that's a very good question. And I think that's it. Generate. Something's wrong. The answer's in the back. Here's the answer. Here's the answer. And even this one is not correct. Oh, the answer. Right here. Answer. And then generate. What's wrong with this one? Or, oh, sample quiz. That shouldn't be there. Okay, so now I know. So there's a little fixing that you need to do. And then what's wrong with this one? 3 point. Is there anything else you can see that's wrong with this one? I can't see anything else. Generate. Okay, now it's correct. So that was a very good question. Very, very good question. Excellent. Okay, so now that we have the exam, let's export it to another one of my courses. So you cannot do that here. You need to go into course tools and then go into test surveys and pools and tests. There it is, demo at 10, demo test 10. And so I'm going to click the drop down, export it, and then I'm going to find where I want to export it to. Okay, so my course is here. I'm going to drop it down. These look like my courses. Let me find my course. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so here I'm going to, let's put it here in my spring. I know this one. We'll put it in my spring online course template and submit. That's where it's going to be exported to, and then submit. And now it was successfully exported. So I'm going to go into that course. I'm going to go ahead and import from the files content collection. I need to make sure, is it down here? Yes, it is. Here's my zip file. There it is, May 8th at 1:46. Click here, submit. There it is, submit. And now I didn't have any, it was packaged, it was processed, it's complete. Click OK. And there's my test. All right. So it wasn't in it. I just wanted to make sure it was in the right content collection, and it was. And so then I just needed to import it. So very good. So I'm going to come back and make sure that you guys are all okay. Okay. Question. Nice. All right. Great. Very good. Excellent. Any other questions? Already, good presentation already. Great. Okay. All righty. So we're doing fine. And that was such a good question. Thank you, Constance. So you have to remember to control A. If you use the PDF, it's Control A so that you get everything to copy all, and then you can import it. So we're doing well. So right now the exam, so now I'm going to go back to deploy the exam, because the exam is only in my test. So here, when I go down to course tools and I go to test surveys and pools, the test only exists here. All I did was import it. If I wanted to give a test to my students, I couldn't because it's only here. So I'm going to click quizzes, and then I'm going to deploy it by clicking assessments and tests. And now right here, I submit. And now I complete all the test questions, all the test options, which I won't do. Interesting. I want to take that off. And then here's the test right here. It's hidden from students. I can always make it available. And the test is ready. Take this test very quickly so I can kind of see if I'm only going to get a score. And there, click OK. Oh, attempted score. That's what it is. 2 out of 8. Very good. So I got a 2 out of 8, which is not so good, but at least I didn't see the answers. That's what I wanted. I didn't want the students to see the test questions. So if you look at your test options, test options. Right here, you don't want anything here. Don't check anything, and then it'll just give them a score. If you check this, it'll give them a score and the actual question. So if you only want them to get their score, don't check anything. And that's a good way for us to find out. Okay, I'm going to come on back to our course. So that's all 3 steps in our process. Create the exam, set the test options, and then deploy the exam. So that's perfect. If you don't deploy it, it'll just sit there out in the test pools, test surveys and pools section. Okay, next, the only other thing I want to show you is the item analysis on the test. So you're going to click the test after the students take the test. You're going to click the drop down and then select item analysis. And then the test name goes right here, and then you click run. Right now, there is no analysis available. So after you click run, then you will see the analysis of the test, which specifically is this one, quiz chapter 2. And then these are the results you will see. It will tell you the total points possible. It will tell you the questions, how many questions you had, how many students actually attempted it, the average score, and the average time that was spent on the actual entire test. So about 6 minutes. So here, if there's 10 questions and students on average are spending 6 minutes on a 10 question, that's what I mean. At the most, they probably should have only had about 10 minutes to take this. So 6 minutes, so 1 minute per question is good enough to, if you want to build in some level of integrity. Okay, some level of integrity if you want to build that in. All righty. And then if you click the question itself, and I might have a math professor out there to explain what discrimination is, etc. But the item discrimination tells how well the question is supposed to discriminate between a good student and a poor student. Now, this number is supposed to be some number in between -1 and 1. But this is a -99. So that tells you that 100% of the students got that question correct. If I look at the item analysis for this one, that would give me a very different answer. And for this one. So here, I can click on the question, and then I can see that 100% of the students answered correctly. No one answered false. And then students that received the top 25% on that test, 4 of them answered true to this question, and they all got this correct. And then the students that were in the second 25th percentile, 10 of them got this question correct. And the students that were in the I guess the last 20, or the second to last 25 percentile, the third 25th percentile, 5 of them got this question correct. And then even the students that did the poorest on the exam, they were in the bottom 25% of the exam, 2 of them, and they got this question. So you may want to look at this. This was a great question because everyone got it correct. And I do like to have questions like that where it's easy enough for everyone to get it correct. So that's great. Okay, that's absolutely great. You don't want too many of those, but definitely just because if one student had gotten this wrong, they're not even paying attention to what's on the test. Or if, say, 10 students got this wrong, they're not even reading this. I don't know much about nutrition, but I can read this question and get it correct also. In general, registered dietitian, nutritionists are reliable sources of food and nutrition. It sounds true to me. But have you ever given a test where the answer seems obvious and the student still gets it wrong? Okay, you just absolutely know that they didn't study when that happens. All right, so thank you guys so much. You've been so great. Today are my last sessions for instructors, and then I will start back with my classes. I will be coming back in a couple of weeks, and I will have had the Blackboard Advanced. I'll get that ready for you. Okay, but I just wanted to give everybody a start at if you're teaching this summer, and then it gave you an opportunity to earn some extra money for the adjuncts and stuff like that. So how you doing out there? Did I lose everybody? Give me some verbal or not verbal. You can give me verbal. Is everybody okay out there? Okay, there they go. Okay, very good. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this session today, you guys. Oh, you're so welcome. I hope you enjoyed this session. I will have others coming up. I need to go and train the students so that they'll be ready for your summer courses.